This week's best MMA bets, we're talking UFC Vegas 109. I'm going to give you guys my lock of the week, my most confident picks on the card. We'll talk favorite underdogs, Degen Props, and then we're going to finish the show out with the parlays. So make sure you guys smash the like button. If you're new to the channel, subscribe, turn the post notifications on, and make sure you share the video too. Last week, as far as the lock plus money, Savage Dog, not so savage. She loses a split decision. Ketlin Souza round 3, not stopping the takedowns, costed her. Unfortunately, ends up on her back, barely fighting back up to her feet come round number 3. And it's another lesson that when you do the Savage Dog lock in the ladies' fights, especially outside of that top 10 range, you're kind of asking for trouble. So I burnt myself on that one, but I think I made up for it pretty nice. We hit over a plus 500 parlay. The most confident picks swept on the card. Plenty of the parlays hit. We went 7 out of 10. So at the end of the day, there was a lot of success last week, but the Savage Dog, not so savage. But if you listen and played the spread, you would have hit too. So positives through the negatives per usual. You guys know I'm an optimist. This week, I got something special for the Savage lock. I'm doing a plus money line, and it's just one line. For the first time ever, I'm doing a Savage prop lock for UFC Vegas 109. I got something that spoke to me, and I said, I have to do this. I'm also going to give you guys a Lock City parlay in the parlay section for those that like to tail the Lock Cities, and maybe you're not crazy about the prop. But if you are, I think we got something exciting. So without further ado, the lock of the week. Steve Erceg to win by submission. I think he is going to show Osbourne levels on the ground. Say what you want about Steve Erceg. Oh, but, you know, the UFC wins. It's Alessandro Costa, Matt Schnell, David Dvorak. The end of the day, he burst onto the scene with 3 impressive victories and then was given a title fight way too early. And he's given Pantoja kind of the toughest run for the money as sitting champion. I mean, the only other fight that really was as close as that was like the Moreno trilogy. And I felt like Erceg was really closer to winning it, but he chose to grapple with the best grappler at 125. I guess Tyra's in the conversation too, but the champ, the man himself, Erceg was trying to wrestle him up and show him levels on the ground. Steve Erceg loves to wrestle. Steve Erceg's nasty on the mat. He's an incredibly well-rounded fighter, but he thrives on the floor. And though we've yet to see a UFC submission, talk about picture-perfect matchup for him to showcase those ground skills. Another factor I like, small cage. I expect an Erceg clinic in the grappling. Osbourne's been submitted 4 times as a pro, and his last 2 out of his 3 most recent L's were submission losses. And I think that Erceg's better than Aswam Abayev and Jafiel Filio. I feel like Erceg is consistently slept on, and I'm sick of the damn disrespect. He's a big favorite, though. I know a lot of people like that Osbourne underdog side. They're tempted by plus 425. Remember, he's taking this fight on short notice without a fight being booked. Now, I get it. It's at 135. He won't have to cut as much weight. Okay, but Steve Erceg doesn't have to cut as much weight either. And he's going to come in strong and energized. And already having a clear-cut grappling and wrestling advantage, I think he's going to thrive. Osbourne's striking's pretty good. His kickboxing's smooth. His hands are low, though, and there's opportunities to hit him with big punches. But I think that Erceg is going to use the striking to set up the grappling in this fight. Now, of course, the sub line is the line I'm talking about. It's minus 600 on the money line. The submission line, though, sits at plus 175, and I was surprised to see it at near 2-to-1 money. Erceg's submission game is legit. He's a black belt in jiu-jitsu. He was able to give a tough fight to Pantoja because of how nasty his ground skills are. Like, look at how easily Pantoja handled Kai Asakura and Kai Kara-France. Oh, but he got knocked out by Kai Kara-France. Listen, he got caught by a perfect shot. Kai Kara-France is a terrifying power hitter, okay? And then he just went 5 rounds with Brandon Moreno in March. Yeah, he lost the fight, okay? 3 of the toughest fights in the weight class, back to back to back. Gave Pantoja a great fight. Is he not improving? He was supposed to fight Alex Perez here. And then they switched it to Hyun Sung Park. Now he's fighting Osbourne. Of the bunch of the matchups he was supposed to have on this card, Osbourne has the biggest hole in grappling, and it's a serious hole. We've seen Osbourne struggle on the ground consistently. He beat Luis Garule, a debuting fighter, in his last out. Erceg loses a decision to Brandon Moreno, the former champ and a legend of the flyweight division. Steve Erceg is going to show levels. Steve Erceg is going to be substantially better on the ground. Osbourne distance striking is nice. He's going to have a reach advantage. Erceg is not just going to sit on the outside and let you beat him up. And Erceg can box too. Very technical punch output in boxing combinations. Steve Erceg's a problem, and I'm telling you, he's a top 10 staple. He's 30 years old. I think he's still coming into his own. Yeah, he got a title fight too early. He was 29 at the time. Year and 2 months has gone by, and he's had some rough matchups. Right away, they threw him to Cachoeira France, and he gets caught. And then, hey, we're going to give you Moreno. Now, Ode Osbourne, this is a fight where he shows levels. We saw Tatsuro Taira run through Park on the ground last week. I expect Erceg to do something similar at the Apex. I'm saying flyweight supremacy for Erceg. I'm saying rear naked choke makes a lot of sense. We've seen Erceg win by rear naked choke a lot. We've seen Osbourne lose by rear naked choke a lot. We've seen Erceg win by Gilly. We've seen Osbourne lose by Gilly. Remember that debut against Brian Kelleher? I was at bantamweight too. I think Steve Erceg looks good here. Battle of flyweights, doing it at 135. I think it's a Steve Erceg showcase chance. Osbourne coming in, trying something big. Really, it's a chance of a lifetime to take on a top 10 flyweight with, a 1-3 record in your last four. And one of those losses was to Ronaldo Rodriguez. And I get it. He did some damage to him. Okay. But Steve Erceg is a different beast than Ronaldo Rodriguez. This is a hellish matchup for Ode Osbourne. Erceg is going to be able to wear him down. I think break him down. I think submit him in the second round. I'm going Steve Erceg sub as the lock for this card. All right. I'm going Savage Dog. We're looking for plus money lines. And I'm telling you, I saw it and it spoke to me. You guys know I love the Lock City parlays, but I like doing 2-leg Lock City parlays for the locks, the official locks. I can still give you a Lock City, and I will at the end, but it's a 3-legger. This card has a lot of chalky lines, and putting the money lines in the mix with some over-unders, I didn't feel right doing a 3-leg. I said, no, we're going Erceg by submission. We're clinching our fucking pearls, and we're going to war. I think Steve Erceg is going to thrive. I think he's going to shine, and I think he's going to strangle Ode Osbourne this Saturday, and I see great success for the Savage plus money lock this week. So Steve Erceg by submission. I'm locking it up, showing levels on the ground to Ode Osbourne. Let's get it. I'm excited for this one. Now, I do want to jump to my most confident picks on the card. I got a slew of them, all right? I got 5 of them, but we'll first bring up the 4, and then we'll add the 5th in afterwards. So first things first, yes, Steve Erceg, he's a 6-1 favorite. You can just put the money line in, a parlay with a few legs to it and try to get something near even money. Or maybe you're doing a safe but very boring parlay with him and another one of these most confident picks, which we'll discuss here soon. But yes, Erceg wins. We already talked about it. Julius Walker should run over Rafael Cerqueira. I think that he's going to finish him in the first round. I think Cerqueira is a certified can crusher. He's got decent enough Muay Thai, but he's been dusted bad in the first round in both of his UFC fights. Ibo Aslan destroyed him, and he got destroyed by Modestas Bukauskas last time. Julius Walker's debut was one to fucking ride home about. Split decision loss to Alonzo Menafield, who's a legit top 15 gatekeeper / contender. Win over Dustin Jacoby not that long ago. Alonzo Menafield's good. And just recently, he fraud-checked Umar Sy in a more dominant fashion than he beat Julius Walker, which was a coin flip fight. He goes from fighting top 15 to now fighting a guy that I think's at the bottom of this light heavyweight division. Walker is going to destroy Cerqueira. He's going to pressure him. He's going to make him uncomfortable. He's going to get him to the ground, and he's going to beat him up. I think he finishes him in the first round. I think knockout, specifically ground and pound, is a very live method of victory. But don't be shocked if you see Walker dropping some ground and pound and Cerqueira says, take my neck and tap me the fuck out. And then he ends up winning by submission. Now, looking at the line for knockout or submission for Walker in this spot, currently the knockout prop sits at -185. Not too good. Submission, though, plus 400. Plus 400 sub. It's not crazy if he locks up a sub. If you're looking to chase value, that plus 400 sub line makes sense. I do think Walker wins in the first round. That's minus 130. At the end of the day, it should be Walker showing Cerqueira levels in grappling. Walker's good. He beat UFC vet Bevon Lewis with ease. He beat Ultimate Fighter veteran Myron Dennis with ease. And I feel as though he's one of those guys you got to keep an eye on. Good athlete, good gas tank. Yeah, the striking is still developing, but pressure based, man. And I don't think Cerqueira can keep up with that type of pace. He's one of those guys that likes to have showcase fights. That's why he was undefeated, because he was fighting in Brazil against low level opposition, time in and time out. And sure, he's got good kickboxing technique, but he's not going to be able to deal with the dog and Julius Walker. And I'll be shocked if he's knocking him out. Not happening. Walker's getting this fight to the ground, and he's beating Cerqueira's ass. Knockout, ground and pound specifically, is probably option one. But if you are looking to chase some extra plus money, that submission line looks me right in the face, and it makes me say, maybe. So Walker by sub at plus 400 if you're chasing plus money tags. Not a crazy outcome if you wilt Cerqueira with some ground and pound and then forces him to give up his neck. Next up, main event. Of course, I got the main event on it. Anthony Hernandez should be able to win a competitive fight against Roman Dolidze. There will be moments early for Dolidze, but Hernandez puts a better pace out, and I don't know how Dolidze fares with this level of grappler. If you look at the history of Roman Dolidze's UFC career, name me one guy he didn't have better grappling than. Everybody you look at, let's look at just recent opposition, right? Nasruddin Imavov, great kickboxing. Anthony Smith, washed. Kevin Holland, just lost to D-Rod at fucking welterweight. Marvin Vettori, who he's 1-1 against. Vettori, he's strong, but he doesn't have slick jiu-jitsu like Anthony Hernandez. Jack Hermanson, I mean, he got bodied by fucking Vettori back in the day. Like, if you really look at it, none of the opposition Dolidze has faced has the level of grappling Hernandez has, nor do they have the dog in them like Hernandez. Hernandez actually a deceptively good puncher as well. He can rip some punches together, definitely can take a beating, got a good chin, got a solid durability. I guess I would say the biggest weakness to him, maybe his body. Kevin Holland put him away with that quick knee to the body years and years and years ago, but I don't think that's happening here. I think Dolidze is looking for one big shot. I think Hernandez could win some sloppy boxing combinations in a wild one. I'm curious to see how Dolidze fares with somebody that can potentially end up in top position. Dolidze is a top pressure grappler. His bottom game, we don't know. I don't think it's that great. I think Hernandez would actually be better from the bottom and more likely to hit reversals. Now, in the first two rounds, I think Dolidze's physicality is definitely a factor, and that could hold him in the fight. But as we hit 3, 4, 5, I don't know how Dolidze's gas tank holds up fighting off a grappler on the other side. We've seen it hold up against a striker in Nasruddin Imavov going 5 rounds, but somebody that's threatening him with takedowns and submissions, he may gas. So I'm curious about that. I do think that Hernandez wins a hard fight at minus 330. He's a bit of a favorite, but he's a winner for sure. And now when I'm looking at the side of Dolidze plus 270, yeah, the odds could have been closer, but it is what it is. Hernandez 7-fight win streak. He's a problem, man. He's on the rise right now. He just beat Brendan Allen in a good fight too. Obviously, the win for Dolidze against Vettori was okay, but wasn't blown away. I was proud of him for winning and avenging the loss, which was honestly probably controversial at the time. Over 2.5 minus 175, not crazy here. I do lean towards Hernandez to win a decision plus 220, but a later stage submission is not out of the realm of possibility. Not a great line for sub. It's only plus 240. I could see round number 4, if Dolidze's pressed in the grappling and it's a high-paced fight, I could see him slowing. And then maybe Hernandez locks up a sub in round 4 or round 5, plus 1,600, plus 2,200. But that's Degen shit. Hernandez's submission game is legit, bro. If you can, Gilly Adolfo Vieira is live against, anybody who's solid on the ground. I think that Anthony Hernandez is going to show his level in this fight, and I think it's a matchup that favors him a lot. Yes, Dolidze in the first 2 rounds is physically imposing and a threat for sure, but unless it's a crazy one-punch KO, which Dolidze is really not known for. I mean, yeah, he knocked out Phil Hawes in vicious fashion, right? And he finished Jack Hermanson on the ground, but typically not known for the thunderous shots, known for wild power shots. And yeah, if he throws it from last week and he punches you, you'll feel it. But Hernandez eats well. I think he's going to see the shots coming. I think he'll threaten with some grappling. I think he'll win some striking exchanges. I think we got a fun fight. If it goes 5, I got Hernandez decision. If it ends earlier in the middle of the fight, I'd say Hernandez is probably live to lock up a sub 2. For the side of Dolidze, I don't want to say he needs a fluke, but like an early KO, just an explosive output. But I don't think Hernandez is wilting. He's got a good chin, man. Hernandez can eat shots. He's a tough SOB. And I like Hernandez a lot right now. I think he's surging towards that top 5, top 6. And I think he gets past the Dolidze puzzle. Decision or submission are the official calls for the matchup. And the side of Hernandez getting his hand raised makes a ton of sense. Next up, we got a lady in the lineup. We got Gabriela Fernandes. Stoliarenko is 11-8 as a pro and 2-6 in the UFC. It would be an abysmal failure for Gabriela Fernandes to lose this fight. Now, to be fair, Stoliarenko's got a tricky armbar. She's got some weird armbar wins. If Fernandes gets overzealous on the ground, of course, there's a fluke factor that Stoliarenko has on her side, but I doubt it. All right? Fernandes should be able to beat her up for 3 rounds. Probably defend the grappling attempts and maybe even threaten with submissions of her own. I mean, Fernandes has won fights by sub before too. I'm looking at the lines here. Fernandes KO plus 170, Fernandes sub plus 325, Stoliarenko sub plus 525. What's Stoliarenko first round sub? Not saying this is going to happen, but Degen mode plus 1100, Stoliarenko first round sub. I think if Stoliarenko is to win, it's probably when they're dry, Fernandes is on top, and she lands a weird armbar. But I would say 9 times out of 10, Fernandes is able to fend off that potential submission attempt, and I think she lands big shots, and I think she dominates the fight. Could she get a knockout? Absolutely. Stoliarenko is coming off of the ground and pound loss to Luana Carolina. Carolina is, a bit of a sloppy wild woman, but she's tricky. I mean, Carolina, she's a herky-jerky striker, but she still is on a 3-fight win streak. I mean, there's some respect that has to be had for the side of Carolina. She finds ways to win these fucking fights at the end of the day. I feel as though unanimous decision makes sense, but I could see Fernandes melting Stoliarenko with big shots and maybe even submitting her too. So I don't know, man. Fernandes inside distance sitting at what line? Minus 145. It's not great. Unfortunately, she becomes one of those like money line type pieces at minus 400, which is not great with ladies fight, right? 4-1, you got a parlayer, but she should hit. I think it's high likelihood of success for her. Striking's way better. Power is way more significant. Speed is better. Physicality is better. I think Stoliarenko's got an armbar chance, but that's about it. Fernandes also capable in the grappling, and her losses are against like Teresa Bleda and Jasmine Jasdavicius 2 years ago. They're good wrestlers. Stoliarenko's not really a good wrestler like that. So I do think Gabriela Fernandes shows levels to Stoliarenko, and I feel like she's live to finish her. I mean, shit. Fernandes just beat Kong Wang, who's on her way to the fucking top 15. They're trying to build her as a title challenger. She beat Carly Judice on a competitive decision. Judice is looking like a woman possessed right now and seems to be surging towards the top 15 herself and a future contender for sure. Fernandes is an underrated problem right now, but the odds show she ain't being underrated by the books. They know her level, and she's going to show it here against Stoliarenko. Now, I got one more, and it's not like this is some sneaky, juicy odds line. It's just I like to bring the 5th up after the fact to emphasize it. Leroy Duncan, 5-1. Leroy Duncan should win. Eryk Anders looking slower, getting dropped in his past 2 fights, tends to get caught by straights. Leroy Duncan, fast, explosive, and precise straight punches. I get it, though. Minus 500 is a terrible line, and it becomes, again, something you have to parlay up. That's really all you can do. Leroy Duncan by decision is minus 125. KO is plus 175. I could see him knocking Anders out, but Anders has never actually been knocked out. It was a TKO retirement against Thiago Santos back in 2018 in a 5-round fight, but, still survived past the 3rd, and this is a 3-round fight here. He is towards the final run at 38, but on the flip side of it, 2-fight win streak for him, but getting dropped by Chris Weidman and Jamie Pickett, pretty bad looks here. Leroy Duncan's got precise power, but I don't know, man. With him, he's an interesting one. I could see him playing it safe. I could see him striking smooth, landing shots from the mid and long range, staying effective with technicality and winning a hard-fought decision. Expect Anders to try and wrestle here. Leroy Duncan could be the first guy to put Anders out, but I guess the point I'm trying to emphasize to you guys is value-wise, it's really not worth it. I think that Anders, is probably still going to be able to recover from a good straight punch from Duncan, but maybe he gets shut off and he stays out. Something to look at is like the dominant side of Leroy Duncan to win by, 3.5 points or more, something like that. I think a 30-27 is pretty likely for him. And I feel as though he goes out and pitches a shutout against Erceg or finishes. So maybe the spread side on Leroy Duncan. I don't have a line in my face available for that spread, but I definitely feel as though Leroy Duncan is going to dominate here. I think he's going to have a big speed advantage, better from distance striking. He's going to stop the takedowns. He's going to beat up Erceg. It's just, does he knock him out or does he lopsided decision him? I could see a knockdown and then a lopsided decision. You see what I'm saying? Because Anders' recovery rate is actually quite good, and I have to respect the chin. But I do think he gets stunned at some point. Does he go out? Remains to be seen. We'll see how that Erceg's chin holds up in 2025. But I could see the lights getting shut off. I could see him getting stung bad, and put down and out. Like it's a possibility. But Erceg, it's a possibility. He could get knocked out here. Leroy Duncan could find that chin. He's been hurt before. Yeah, he's never been officially finished, but he's been hurt. And maybe Leroy Duncan's the first to knock him out. But is it worth chasing plus 175? Not crazy about. But in a parlay or the spread and dominance for Leroy Duncan to get you a little better value, seems worthwhile. So Leroy Duncan, confident pick. Now, I do want to talk about my favorite underdogs on the card. One of which I would say is like my favorite dog. Another one which I feel as though it's like a 50-50 fight. And I'm leaning towards the dog, but I also have some, nightmares about it. But let's first talk about the excitement side. I believe that Gilbert Urbina is going to defeat Uros Medic. I think he's going to be able to take him to the ground. I feel as though Medic's striking is a bit overrated. He's a technical striker. He's a slick kickboxer from range, but he's given up 4 inches in reach. He's given up 2 inches in height. Gilbert Urbina's striking from distance is not bad either, and he has strong wrestling, and he's got a legit submission game. Urbina, I get why you'd sleep on him. I mean, he's coming off of a 1.5-year long layoff and a bad knockout loss to Charles Radke. But does Charles Radke not pulverize Uros Medic if they fought? I feel like he would. And on the side of Medic, he just got destroyed 6 months ago by Punahele Soriano in like 35 seconds. You got to question that chin. Gilbert Urbina ate some bombs and he got shut out, but at least he had a 1.5 years off from it. And I feel like with Radke, you have capable grappling defense too. Medic has suspect grappling. He's been rear naked choked twice before. Mittabek Orobai, who's nasty on the ground, but seemingly a bit overrated watching some of his recent foes fall, right? And then you look at him losing to Jalen Turner at, the lightweight division. Gilbert Urbina is a former middleweight coming down to 170. There's a clear-cut physicality edge. And we have a former lightweight versus a former middleweight, and the former middleweight's the better grappler. I really favor the size factor of Gilbert Urbina. I think he could drag this fight to the ground. I think he could wear on Medic, and I think he could surprise him. I'm saying Urbina by submission is the official pick. Now, Urbina on the money line, he's sitting wide here. Plus 350. I don't really agree with the odds. He opened up at plus 180. That makes a lot more sense. And Medic was minus 210. Like, I can get behind a plus 180 side of Urbina and say, okay, that's sensible. But how the fuck can I look past plus 350? Medic is not that good. Medic has got wins over Tim Means, who was washed. Okay. Matthew Semmelsberger, who was washed. Omar Morales, who was washed. I get it. Gilbert Urbina doesn't have like this big signature win, but you know what? Survived to the distance almost 7 years ago against Sean Brady. Was able to get a win over Orion Koshke, who was a good wrestler, and he took him down too. Lost to Brian Battle by sub 4 years ago. It was a long time back. Won on that Ultimate Fighter Season 2 against Gilmore in middleweight by taking him down and strangling him. I know Gilmore ended up doing terrible in the UFC and, wasn't necessarily level, but I feel like Urbina's getting the fight to the mat. He's not getting bullied by Medic. He's got a physicality edge. If he can drag this fight to the floor, if he can close the gap, if he's willing to take a shot and keep on fighting and doesn't wilt, if Medic lands a couple of slick shots, I think Urbina's subbing him. I don't agree with the lines at all. I was actually shocked to see them this wide. plus 350 is nonsensical. This fight is competitive, and there's a physicality edge on Urbina's side. He knows how to grapple. The family's all fighters, all Ultimate Fighter veterans. He's the only one holding it down in the UFC, and I think it's destiny he gets his second UFC win here against a kickboxer like Medic. Younger, too. Gilbert Urbina's only 29. He's not even 30 yet. Not that Medic is old at 32. I don't see Medic doing it. I think Gilbert Urbina outdogs him. I think that the former middleweight takes out the former lightweight, and the odds are just playing wrong. Give me Urbina to win, and the submission line is a little crazy, but I think it's possible too. Urbina by sub at plus 750? I think he's live to win by submission. Urbina sub, the official pick, is almost ripped the mic off, and Urbina to get it done is a big underdog here. Don't sleep on Gilbert Urbina. I think you could have a showcase here. I like Urbina. I was high on his skill set after Tough. I thought, this guy's got something. He's the best of the brothers for sure. And I think that a win against Medic, outdogging him, I feel like it makes sense. He's been traded win-loss for a while. It's time for a W. And I think he takes Uros down and probably strangles him with the rear naked choke. I'm excited as hell for this fight. I'm going with the big dog. Now, the other underdog that I got, I like it a lot less. I would say I feel pretty split on this fight. It's touchy-feely. I think he could win a close decision versus C-Rod. I think there's going to be moments for both, but sometimes Fili just fucking sells. Like against Melky Costa last time. C-Rod gave Melky a lot tougher of a fight, but both lost to the same opposition last time out. Fili's got some good strike speed, though. He's got a reach advantage. He's taller. He's more experienced. The truth about C-Rod is this. He has never beaten a veteran. He's only beaten prospects. What happens with a veteran like Fili who's crafty? Stops C-Rod's takedowns, turns it into a kickboxing fight, has some moments. The worry is Fili getting caught in some stupid submission because we've seen it. Rodriguez by sub, currently sitting at plus 450. We've seen Fili make that mistake before. I feel like we're going distance, over 2.5 minus 225. I feel like Fili's live for the split nod. Split decision Fili. Fili by decision is plus 300. But what's Fili split? Fili split decision plus 1,000. I don't know. I just got an inkling that Fili on a split decision makes sense. I think from distance, he's a little faster with his hands. Yes, C-Rod is schooled and pretty accurate with his kickboxing, but giving up a fair amount of range. I feel like C-Rod's got the build of a fucking bantamweight. 5'7" to 5'11", 74 inch reach to 71.5. I get it. Fili's 8 years older. But I don't think Fili's washed. I think he had a bad performance with Melky, but he was looking smooth on the feet earlier on. I think Fili's still good. I think he's being slept on now. He's a 2-1 dog in a fight that should be more even lines. Like, I get being on the C-Rod side, but I don't get the lines. They opened at minus 300 for him. That's crazy. I think Fili's in this fight, and I think he makes it close. And I think that they go to a competitive decision, and I think Fili's going to get his hand raised in a close fashion. If he does something stupid, puts him in a fucking sub, leaves the neck out, of course, shit could go sideways. And there's been times when it has. But maybe the spread on Fili around minus 140, if you think he's going to make it a close fight within the 3.5 point margin, which is definitely like a possibility because I feel like his hands are quick. Grappling defense relatively sound. I mean, shit, he was the one taking Melky down, then he got fucking subbed. He made the mistake. I'm going Andre Fili. Plus 200 underdog. I think he can pull through. I think he's being slept on a bit. Let's see if C-Rock can finally pass the veteran test, which so far he's been incapable of doing so. I do want to jump to the next section. Let's talk about the Degen props of the night. I got 1 over, 1 under. I got a sub prop that I actually already mentioned. And then I got a round prop that I wanted to mention. So Lucindo Hill over 2.5, minus 550. It's a lock. Yes, the girls are going to go long. Walker Cerqueira under 1.5. I kind of teased you guys on this. It's minus 220. I think Walker and Cerqueira going under around 1.5 is magnificent. I love the over in Lucindo Hill, and I love the under in Walker Cerqueira in this one. I think at minus 220 is going to hit, man. Cerqueira, I think he's getting finished in the first round. Walker's going to put a pace on him. And then Urbina by sub, already mentioned it, plus 750. Obviously, Erceg to win by sub, plus 175, already mentioned. But something interesting. Smith by KO in round 1 at plus 175. I am pretty confident Elijah Smith. If you're wondering why Elijah Smith was not in the most confident picks, fucking odds are terrible, man. He's a 7-1 favorite. I had to choose lines that I felt were more valuable. Him by KO is minus 200. That is a confident pick. but there's only 5 spots in the section, and I'm not going to make it a fucking, 8 fights in the section, But Smith by KO at minus 200. Yes, confident prop. Line sucks. Smith KO round 1, plus money territory at plus 175. Smith by first round KO makes a ton of sense. I think it hits. I think Kazama's defense sucks. He comes out like a bat out of hell, gets crazy, aggressive, and wild, and leaves way too many openings. Knockout for Smith for sure. Those are the props that I wanted to talk about. I want to talk about everybody's favorite section. All right. So if you guys haven't yet, make sure you hit that like button. If you're new to the channel, subscribe. Hold your horses for a second. I have a second page with some more Degen parlays coming up. This is a big card with big card. It's a fucking Vegas card. There's a good amount of interesting lines on the card, and I have some variety. So first segment, we're doing, the safe but boring down to nearly plus 500. And then I got some more parlays that are in that Degen territory because I found some sneaky Degen shit that you might be throwing $5-10 on for the lottery ticket, and then you'll come back huge that we'll talk about as well. So first things first, let's run through the safer stuff, and then we'll get into the Degen territory. So at the top, Erceg and Walker minus 274, safe but boring AF. That's all that needs to be said. Yeah, it hits, but it's boring as fuck. Safe but boring. Erceg, Walker, and Leroy Duncan at minus 163. Should hit, but again, boring. Little better. The little over-under blend here with Lucindo Hill over 2.5 and Walker Cerqueira under 1.5 at minus 137. I like it. Go down a little more. Erceg, Lucindo Hill over 2.5 and Walker Cerqueira under 1.5 plus 112. This right here, the W, is what I would call the lock city. I did the Savage prop lock, but this can be the lock city of the masses, but it's a 3-leg. So that's why I officially didn't put it as the lock in the section, but I was contemplating it. I think the W parlay is a lock here. And if you're not crazy about betting Erceg by sub, you want a lock city parlay, this W right there is the lock city parlay. So W lock city down below in the comments and let me know what you think. Erceg, Lucindo Hill over, and the Walker Cerqueira under makes a lot of sense at plus 112. Let's keep going down. We got quality down below. Hernandez, Smith KO, and Hill, Lucindo over 2.5 at plus 132. I think it's quality. I do. And it's an alternate if maybe you're like, yo, I don't want to play Erceg. Maybe you're on the fucking Osbourne train, which don't get me started on that. Maybe you're on that, but I don't think it hits. But all right. There's a little something different with quality. Confident down below. Erceg, Walker, Leroy Duncan, Hernandez, Fernandes. Little rhyme at the end as well. Most confident picks on the card. Plus 164. Not great value, but it should hit. Now, valuable down below it. Leroy Duncan, Hernandez, Lucindo Hill over 2.5, and Walker Cerqueira under 1.5 at plus 168. It seems like this valuable one, good safer play, like an extension. If you like the Erceg, Lucindo Hill over 2.5, and Walker Cerqueira under 1.5 with the lock city, I feel like you're definitely interested in, contemplating doing Leroy Duncan, Hernandez with the same type of lineup, okay? And then if you're feeling good about plus 168, you can even add Erceg to your slate as well, and then take it to, a little bit of another level. Let's keep running down, though. The 2-1 love. Erceg, Leroy Duncan, Hernandez, Smith KO, and Hill, Lucindo over 2.5 at plus 235. This seems like it really should hit. Let's keep going down, though. Erceg by submission, prop lock, and Walker Cerqueira under 1.5, plus 296. It's a powerful play, and I think it's a good snipe from me. I feel like that sniper mode USA. Down below again, Erceg, Leroy Duncan, Hernandez, Smith KO, Walker Cerqueira, it's the under 1.5, and Hill, Lucindo over 2.5 at plus 391. That's a big one. And then the prop blend down below. All right, we're mixing things up. We got Erceg by sub, Smith by KO, and Walker Cerqueira under 1.5, plus 493 for a little prop blend down below, making, some savage magic happen for the people. Now, I said something powerful, though. You see the Erceg, Walker, Leroy Duncan, Hernandez, and Fernandes, and then down below it, the valuable play. Leroy Duncan, Hernandez, and then the Lucindo Hill, over with Cerqueira and Walker under. I do have a little extension that, you guys know, if you tune into the show every week, I like to do a sneaky one. So for this page, I got another page coming up, so stick around. But for this page, I'm going to take it a little sneakier. So I do want to add Steve Erceg to that same lineup because I feel like it's something to consider. Because I'm looking and I'm like, not playing Erceg kind of makes me feel a little bit sad. I won't lie to you. Let's see how much better the line is too if you add Erceg on your slate. So you see that valuable plus 168? If you added Steve Erceg to it, now you got plus 232. Drop a sneaky in the comments if you stuck around for that one. All right. I have to do, a little sneaky stuff for the savages. Now, this page, I'm going to move to the next page. But I'm actually going to just minimize the, more confident, safer plays and keep them on the screen as I bring up the Degen stuff. I couldn't fit all this in one screen. Now, obviously, not saying bet every prop, but I like to give you guys some templates to work with. And I wanted to take it a little bit deeper with the Degen side of things because that first page, we barely got to plus 500. You know what I'm saying? So I'd rather than take it a mile further and add a little more fun than normal. Because I know some people say, bro, what about this degenerate shit? Let me just do it for you. So Smith KO and Urbina at plus 575. That's doggy style. We've seen it hit before. I'm good with the plus 500s. And I think that one's pretty live. A little bit more thunder. Erceg submission and Smith KO round one. Plus 678 for the prop savage play. Let's keep going. Sneaky. This is real sneaky. Plus 984. You got Erceg sub, Leroy Duncan, Hernandez, Smith KO, Walker, Cerqueira under a round and a half, and Hill Lucindo over 2.5, plus 984 for that one. Take it a little bit further. Erceg, submission, Smith, KO round one, and the Walker Cerqueira under. You guys know I love that under. Plus 1,039. I feel like this is a likely 3 savage. Down below a little further, the prop doggy. Erceg sub, Smith KO and Urbina plus 1723. I'm just going to make it more degen. You got the ones at, the top there that you probably play with some more capital. Then you got something that you might just throw a little bit down, unless you're just a maniac, which some of you might be. Savage, pro, it says pro doggy, but it meant to say prop doggy. It's a pro doggy, all right? The fucking pro shit only, all right? Prop doggy first. Erceg sub, Smith KO and Urbina plus 1723. But go down below. Savage prop doggy. Savage pro doggy. It's pro shit only. Urbina with Smith KO in the first round. Now you go in degen mode. But I feel like it's a sniper call that could come through. An Erceg sub plus 3,399. It's a 3-legger at plus 3,399. It's an Apex card. How could I not include some of this degen shit for the savages? Go a little further. Erceg sub, Leroy Duncan, Hernandez, Smith KO, Urbina, Walker Cerqueira under, and Hill Lucindo over, plus 4,777 for the savage play. Make sure you play that Walker Cerqueira under. What it's all about. I feel like that one's beautiful. Down below, the Savage Lotto ticket at plus 9,654. We keep Erceg sub. Keep Leroy Duncan, Hernandez, Smith KO, but we're throwing Urbina by submission on it with Walker Cerqueira's under 1.5 and Hill Lucindo for a crazy tag, nearly plus 10,000. That's a lot. That's a ton. But it's not that insane out of the realm of possibility to come to fruition. Now, the Degen Savage Lotto ticket of the day, plus 18,627. Erceg sub, Leroy Duncan, Hernandez, Smith KO round one, Urbina sub, Walker Cerqueira under 1.5, and Hill Lucindo over 2.5 rounds. Brings you to plus 18,627. That is some fucking maniac shit. That is. And because I always take it one step further, if you want to add in Gabriela Fernandes, who's a confident pick, to that Degen Savage Lotto ticket or any of the Savage parlays at the bottom, you put her in there, we got plus 23,309. Yes, $100 brings you to, $23,309 and your 100 back. So you'll cash a ton if they came through. I am doubtful that a lot of you guys are throwing $100. Maybe you're throwing 5. You can make a lot off 5. Maybe you're throwing 10. Holy shit. I feel like some of these degen plays this week, I'm just having a foresight for, which is why I extended the section more than normal. Like, I like doing 10, but I'm like, fuck it. Let me add an extra 10 for the people that want to play the degen shit. Now, don't blindly tail. Do your own research. Put your research together with mine and see where we link up. but I'm feeling pretty damn good after going 7 out of 10 with the parlays last week, hitting a plus 500 or more. I didn't have a Savage Degen Lotto ticket like I have this week, last week. But what if I did? Because I felt good about method of victories. And this one right here, I feel like we got something crazy coming. So that is the parlay slate. There's a lot of them. I'm not saying play all, pick and choose what you see, but I got to give you guys a template, something to work with here. I like the W Lock City, Erceg, Lucindo over 2.5 and Walker, Cerqueira under 1.5. But it's also a lot of fun to go prop savage mode at plus 678 with Erceg sub and Smith KO round one, especially when it seems likely. Then you have Urbina in the lineup too, and you're going for big dog money with Erceg sub, Smith KO, and Urbina at plus 1723. And then you're taking it a step further and you're putting confident picks in with methods of victories, with an under, with an over, and you got plus 18,627. Then if you believe in the Brazilian Savage, don't let me down, Gabriela Fernandes. Now you got plus 23,309. So lots of way you guys can play it this week. There's definitely some degen shit that I think could hit, and there's definitely a ton of safe stuff that I see coming through as well. Feeling very good about this week's best MMA bets. Let me know in the comments what you thought about everything. I want to hear from the people. I'm actually like mad stoked for this UFC Vegas 109 card. So make sure you tune into the Fight Companion. I'll be live 4:30 p.m. Eastern time Saturday for the entire card. So watch it with your boy. Thank you all for watching. Smash the likes on your way out. If you're new to the channel, subscribe it up. We're closing in on 51,000 subscribers. And if you don't know, I'm covering Contender Series. So tune into the Contender Series breakdowns every Monday. And then also the Contender Series Fight Companions every Tuesday. Tons of content dropping. You don't want to miss it. If you got nothing to say in the comments, you just enjoy, W to boost the algorithm for your boy. And thank you all. I love you guys. Turn the post notifications on. Don't miss a thing. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.